Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadanti Supadantikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapadagabalam Shri Gurum Vaishnamamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagna Ruknatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parjana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Vishakam Vidam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpada Rupesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dhanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hariom Tat Sat Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's Bhagavad Gita class. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, text 13. Nyayam yatyat pravikshami yatnyatva ashnute anadi matparam brahma nasattan nasaduchyate. Mayuri Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Nyayam yattat pravakshyami yat gyatva amratam ashrute anadimat param brahma na sattat na asat uchyate.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. I shall now explain the knowledgeable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, the beginningless and the subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and the effect of this material world. Hare Krishna.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Okay, Mat Param. Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am going to explain the knowable, what is to be known, knowing which, by knowing which, you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me. So it's very, very important to know here that Krishna and his energy, the Brahman, the spirit, okay, that which is the cause of this material world, okay, lies, it's say is subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material. Okay, what we are seeing, the cause of which, it is beyond effect of this material world. So it is a, this material world is a byproduct of that cause, that is the Brahman, the spirit, the beginningless, which is subordinate to Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, from whom all the multivarious energies come, and that energy is the cause and effect of this material world. So let us read the purport. The Lord has explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first the soul and the super, and then the super soul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the second chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. There is no specific date at which the Jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out the history of the Jivatma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is beginningless. The Vedic literature confirms this. Kathopanishad. The knower of the body never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. So here we have to understand that the living entities, that all the living entities, irrespective of what species, whether human species, aquatic, trees and plants, birds and bees, they are all beginningless, because we cannot make out at what point of time all of us came into existence, because we are eternal. So this is, we cannot make out a date. Oh, and so date, Krishna created all these living beings. We know from Bhagavad Gita second chapter, Natvevaham Jadunasam, Natum Neme Janadiva. Okay. We were eternal, we are eternal, we will be eternal. That means we are beginningless. So knowing this, and again in the Kathopanishad also the same, Na Jayade Mriyadeva Vipaschit. Okay. The Navarat body is never born and never dies. So there is no beginning, there is no end. Krishna. And he is full of knowledge. Why? Because actually, who's here it is referring to the knower of body is never born and never dies. Knower of the body. And he is full of knowledge. Actually, who is the knower of the body?
Two people, Prabhuji, Atma and Paramatma.
Yes. So Atma has a limited knowledge. Paramatma has knowledge of everything. Supreme Lord as a super soul is also stated in the Vedic literature, Svetasvata Upanishad, to be Pradhana Kshetratnya Patir Ganesha, sorry, the chief knower of the body and the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Smriti, it is said, Dasa Bhudo Harer Eva Nanyasvaiva Kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings. Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nityadas. So what is our position? Constitutional position. We are the eternal servant of Lord Krishna. So this is given in the Smriti also. Okay. That is Dasa Bhudo Harer Eva Nanyasvaiva Kadachana. We are all eternal servants of the Supreme Lord, which has already been confirmed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This also confirmed by the Lord Chaitanya in his teaching. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Vijnana Brahma as opposed to Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma is the Supreme Brahman, personality of God. So the Brahman, sometimes it can denote to the living entity, sometimes it can be denoted to the Supreme Personality of God. Usually Brahman means the living entity. But Parabrahman, to be specific, is the Supreme Personality of God. But as per context, the meaning changes. Sometimes Brahman can be referred even to the Parabrahman also. So actually, we are Brahman because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He is Parabrahman, Supreme Brahman. We are person, he is Supreme Person. But both are person. There's a Satchidananda Vigraha for the Supreme Lord. And for us in this material world, we have a material form in which the seed, the soul in the seed form is there. Actually, when it gets the Surupa, there is no more material covering. The individual soul is in the seed form in the material world. It is a covering. In the spiritual world, that covering is that it obtains the real form, the real Satchidananda form. But as mentioned here, the Brahman, the living entities, has limited knowledge. Okay, but the Supreme Person, the Parabrahman, has a knowledge of all, past, present, and future, in every nook and corner of the creation. And he is Ananda Brahma, and we are Vijnana Brahma. This is also a difference between the Brahman and Parabrahman, or living entity, and the Supreme Personality of God. Okay, so any comments or any questions? Everything clear? Or shall we move to the next if there is no questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Maji.
Prabhuji, please explain this line. English में होता है.
The Lord has explained the fields of activity and power of the field.
Which one?
The first line, Prabhuji.
No. This one, na?
This is the first.
This line, Prabhuji. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and the subordinate to me. And this line, Prabhuji, lies beyond the cause and the effect of this material world.
Okay. In the translation, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect. That is the Jivatma, who are eternal, the spirit, okay, beginningless and subordinate. That means it refers to the living entities. Mamai Vamshu Jiva Loke Jiva Budha Sanatana. It is not our place actually. We are not supposed to be here. Okay. So that lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. We are not of this material world. Although we are in this material world, unfortunately, we have landed up here. Okay. Our place is spiritual world. But because of our own rebellious nature, we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. Krishna has arranged a place, just like the parents arrange some playground for the children who are very, very mischievous, so that they don't make fuss at home. So, okay, you go and play. When you are tired, please come home. Similarly, we are also sent from there because we wanted to be, the Lord or the master or the proprietor or the controller or the enjoyer of this, creation. Just like how Lord is enjoying. So we also wanted to imitate the Lord. Why only Lord? Why not me? Sometimes the children ask, why only you can do? Why I cannot do it? Isn't it? The children sometimes, argue with the parents. Why you don't allow me to do? I also want to do. No, why you are only doing it? Similarly, we also, had that tendency of argument, rebelling against Lord's wish. Actually, we are the Amsha, the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and we are supposed to be subordinate to the Supreme Lord and serve the Supreme Lord, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. What is that? Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nityadas. Our position is at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, serving him for his satisfaction. But unfortunately, we wanted to become master. So if you wanted to become master, to lord of the material nature, you go there to the material nature. He has made a very big place here, playground for us to play. Once we are tired of playing, we can go back home, back to Godhead. So we don't get tired also. Why? Because we wanted to enjoy more and more. When we do a particular activity, we don't get satisfaction, and we switch over to another activity. We don't get satisfaction. We switch over to another activity. Like that, life after life, in species after species, we go. Life after life, we go in different species in the name of finding happiness. Okay, I will not find happiness here, then I will find happiness there, like that. So we forget that we are this servant of the Supreme Lord, but at some point of time, after transmigrating through different species for many millions of birth, then we'll come to know this place is not meant for us. How to get out of, because this is Dukhalaya Masyaso. That time, Brahmanda Brahmit Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade, Maya Bhakti Radha Beach, will come to contact, with some, devotees, pure devotees of Lord. And by Guru and Krishna's mercy, we'll take up the process of devotional service. Once we take up this process very seriously, then we'll be eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, where we can really enjoy, okay, in the Sachidananda Rupa, Surupa. So this is a playground for us, or this is a rehabilitation center for us, just like the, those who are doing misdeeds in the society will be sent to jail for reformation. So we are also sent to this jail, this is a jail, this is a fort, Durga, that's called, it is, Dukhalaya. It is said, It's a dukkhalayam. It's not a place where we can enjoy. But unfortunately, we are trying to enjoy this material world. So once we know this truth, that it is not meant for us, for a gentleman, then we'll take up the process by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Then at the end of our purification, we will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to serve eternally at His lotus feet. That is where our joy, that is where our joy is. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Okay, text 14. Sarvata panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham sarvata shrudiman loke sarvam avritya tishtati. Okay, Sachi Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvato akshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvam avritya tishtati.
Krishna Prabhu translation. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything.
Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So this, describes the all-pervasive nature of the super soul. Okay, he is not limited, just like how we are limited to, our ears, hands, and eyes and nose and other parts of the body is limited within this body. We don't have eyes in America. We don't have ears in India, isn't it? We cannot see what's happening with our, of course, we have now some mechanism to see what's happening, to hear what's happening in the other part of the world. But, on our own, it is not possible. That's through some mechanical means. But Krishna doesn't need any mechanical means to know what's happening in, America or in other continent or in other planet. His hands are everywhere, legs are everywhere, eyes and heads and faces everywhere. So he knows what's happening in every nook and corner of his creation. But ours is limited. Our knowledge is limited to this body only, and little bit here and there. That's not everybody also. Only some intelligent beings will know little more about the material world, because that's also by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, isn't it? So because of some Suvrti, they know, they can make out how we have come here, why we have come here, and how to get out of this. All this knowledge is given in the scriptures. And there are some intellectual beings, through their research and investigations and other studies, they will also be able to make out some fraction of this creation. Scientists and intellectual beings. Otherwise, our knowledge is very, very limited. Very, very limited. Our senses are very, very limited. Isn't it? Our senses cannot perceive the things as it is. Isn't it? We know, because the senses are limited. The senses are under the three modes of material nature, and we will not be able to know things as it is because the senses are imperfect. The senses of the Supreme Lord are perfect, and it is interchangeable. Angani yasya saglendra vritti mandi pashyanti pandi. What is a pashyanti pandi chiram jagandi ananda chinmaya sadujjana vigrahasya govinda madhi purusham tamham bhajami. So his senses can be used interchangeably. For example, he produces or creates this material world by just glancing. He eats by glancing. He walks by his eyes or nose, or that's why it's called absolute. We can do one activity with our our organ or limbs or senses. For example, we can only see with eyes. We cannot eat. Can we eat? We cannot eat. Can we walk with our nose? No. So in the Isopanish, it is very clearly mentioned that he in the examination plus this thing Brahma Samhita also. Is in the examination mentioned that he has legs everywhere, eyes everywhere, heads everywhere, faces everywhere. That's why he is knowing all that is happening in every nook and corner of the world. And we know from Srimad Bhagavatam that he glances at the material nature and impregnates the material nature with all living entities. Okay. Our creation is not that. By union, male and female union, creation takes place. It is not that we can create by glancing or we can create by thinking. Just, Brahma even created in the beginning of his Visarga from his own body, from his mind, so many Prajapatis. Only from Manu, the creation started by the joint union of male and female. Till then, it was not like that. So there's a lot of difference between his creation and our creation or making progenies. So he is there, his eyes are there everywhere, his legs and heads and faces. It's not one. Heads, faces, eyes, legs. So how do we understand that? It's not that, literally he has so many legs. It doesn't mean like that. Literally he has so many eyes in his body. That is not the way to understand. His feature as super soul is all pervasive. It's very difficult from our, from our angle, from our understanding. It's very difficult. So we cannot visualize a person with so many eyes in his body or so many legs. No, that is not the way to understand. So we cannot visualize him like that because he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchidananda. Past, present, and future. He is, represented by the feature as super soul. He is dwelling in each and every atom. So whatever is happening, he is knowing. That is how he is known. That's not that he has legs all over his body and it is extending on. So this is what we have to understand, that is all pervasive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So Bhagwan is the original person, and second level is, Bhagwan is the original, second is Paramatma, third is Brahman. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwan idi Satyade. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says. So from Bhagwan comes the other two features like Paramatma and Brahman. Let's see what is there in the purport. As the sun exists diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the super soul or Supreme Personality of Godhead. He exists in his all-pervading form, and in him exists all the individual living entities, beginning from the first great teacher Brahma down to the small ants. So this is where he exists in his all-pervading form. So what is the all-pervading form? Super soul. Super soul is there in each and every living entity, in each and every atom also. Isn't it? So in him exists all the individual living entities, beginning from the great teacher, beginning from Brahma. He is the secondary creator. He is the first living creature, isn't it? Down to the small ants. There are unlimited heads, legs, hands, and eyes, and unlimited living entities. All are existing in and on the super soul. Therefore, the super soul is all pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. Our, organs or limbs are, within our body only. We cannot extend our hands to some other planet or some other, even what to speak of planet, to some other next room we cannot extend. But Lord, it is possible. If he thinks that under ignorance he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge, he will come to that stage. His thinking is contradictory. This means that the individual soul, having become conditioned by material nature, is not supreme. So in brief, Lord wants us to know that we are not supreme. We are part and parcel. We have limitation in all respect. We are conditioned by material nature. The Supreme is different from the individual soul. Supreme Lord can extend his hand without limit. The individual soul cannot. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower, a fruit, or little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is a far distance away, how can he accept things? So we are offering the prasadam here. Okay, if he's far, suppose let's say he is in another planet, how can he accept? If he doesn't have that accessibility, to accept the bhoga offered, is so far. But that's when his hands are everywhere, legs are everywhere, faces are everywhere. So he is here in the form of super soul in every atom. So that's how you can access. Okay. This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Okay. Even though he is situated in his own abode, far, far away from earth, he can extend his hand to accept that what anyone offers. That is his potency. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Goloka eva nivasyati akilatma bhuta. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendent planet, he is all pervading. The individual soul cannot claim that he is all pervading. Therefore, this verse describes the Supreme Soul, the personality of God, and not the individual. So, this particular soul, verse is describing about the Supreme Personality. In the earlier verse, it was about us, about the individual soul. In this verse, it is about the super soul, because that's why it is mentioned that he has got so many hands, legs, faces, and everything, which we don't. So earlier verse describing about the individual soul, okay, and this verse is describing about the Supreme Soul or super soul. So when we offer bhoga, is simply by glancing, he eats. But then if he really eats like how we eat, then there won't be left anything. Isn't it? Since he is absolute, whatever he does is also absolute. What is that? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyade. Purnam. Whatever is remaining also Purnam. So according to his this thing, what you call maths, whatever he does is absolute, because when he eats also, and he gives as it is without diminishing anything from that. So that means absolute. Nothing will get diminished, nothing will become more also. And whatever is emanating from him is also perfect and complete, because he is perfect and complete. So it's a very beautiful verse in Upanishad, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. So that's the meaning of absolute. Absolute means always there is no reduction, there is no addition. You always remain full. How much ever you take, how much ever you give, he is full. So when we offer to him anything, so what he accepts is the love and devotion. So, and when we offer some bhoga or anything for that matter, with love and devotion, he accepts what does he accept? He accepts that love, and with what we give, that love and devotion. The substance is leave it as it is. After, he purifies it, definitely. He purifies that, then it is fit for our consumption. And when we offer it with love and devotion, then we get Krishna Prema. That is what he requires. It's not that, just like we are showing the lamp to the sun god. The sun god, who is giving the light and heat to, throughout the universe, and we are showing him the lamp. Does he require that? No. It's a way of giving our thanks and gratitude to the sun god. That's all. Similarly, our offering to him is also an expression of love and gratitude. It is everything belongs to him. What we can give is just an expression of love and gratitude to that Supreme Personality of God. It's not that he is in need of our bhoga. This is how he has given us an opportunity to express our love and gratitude. It's for our benefit, not for his benefit. Okay, so any comments or any questions? Yes.
No, Prabhuji, we can move.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Prince
Hare
Prabhu, anything?
No, Prabhuji, nothing.
We'll go to the next. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjidam asaktam sarvabhrichaiva nirgunam guna bhoktarcha. Tarini Mataji and Prince Prabhu. Tarini Mataji, please recite the shloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarvabhruchaiva nirgunam gunabhokrucha. Hare Krishna.
Prince Prabhu, translation please.
Translation, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation: the super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature.
The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. So how do we understand that? The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. Is he really without senses?
He doesn't have any material senses, Prabhu. All are transcendental.
Yes, very good. So that is it. Okay. So his senses are not within these three modes of material nature. He is guna atit. His senses are transcendental. It's not like our senses, which is material. Okay. Our senses are material, mind is material, intelligence is material. As long as we have this body, material body. Once it is purified, then we will have spiritual mind, spiritual intelligence, and true ego. That's why it is said here. Super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. Okay. So this is what we have to understand. He is unattached. Although he is doing so many activities, he is not attached to anything. Although he is the maintainer of all living beings. Okay, he is maintaining everything, but he is totally detached from all these things. He transcends the modes of nature. He is guna atit. He is nirguna. Nirguna in the sense he doesn't have any material qualities. And at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. So all these three guna, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Gunas comes from him. But is he within that? No. He is the master of that. He is not affected by these three modes, but he controls this. He is the master of the modes of meditation. And again, and in the material world, this has been divided or given to different personalities like Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. These three master, to take care of these modes. Supreme Lord, although the source of all the senses of the living entities, doesn't have material senses like they have. Like who? Like the living entities. Actually, the individual souls have spiritual senses, but in condition like they are covered with the material elements, and therefore the sense activities are exhibited through matter. So, in fact, we also have Satchidananda form, but unfortunately, when we come to the material world, when we are conditioned, all those senses becomes material. So it is covered with the material elements. Okay. And therefore, the sense activities are exhibited through matter. So which are the material elements? Prince Prabhu, any idea how many material elements are there? How many material elements are there? Any idea?
No, Prabhuji.
24.
Mm.
So whatever we are seeing in this material world is, comes within these 24 elements. This is taught by Kapiladev to Daudi, Sankhya philosophy. So all that what we are seeing is, a different permutation combination of the 24 elements. So can anyone say which are those 24 elements? Who wants to say?
Prabhuji, 5 Gyanendriya, 5 Karmendriya, 5 Karmendriya's objects, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, and 5 basic elements.
Okay, 20.
23 is Prabhuji. This is means 5 Gyanendriya, 5 Karmendriya, 5 sense objects.
5 senses.
5 sense means Gyanendri, Karmendri, Prabhuji, and then 5 objects as seeing.
Yeah.
Something
Okay. So only
fire, water, ether. That 5 those elements.
total 20. Then
20 Man, Buddhi, Ahankar.
okay.
And 1 I'm missing, Prabhuji. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. No.
Jeev.
No, Jeev.
The Kal, Prabhuji.
Yeah, time.
Time. Yes.
Above that is the soul. But that is soul. Soul is not coming in this material elements, no. Soul is the proper. So there are 24 elements. So whatever you see in this material world are made up of these 24 elements. Nothing beyond that. And above that soul is super soul. Okay. So he has his transcendental senses which are uncontaminated. It should be understood that his senses are not exactly like ours. Although he is the source of all our sensory activities, he has his transcendental senses which are uncontaminated. This is very nicely explained in the Svetasvatara Upanishad in the verse Apani Pado Javano Grahita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no hands which are materially contaminated. Okay, no hands which are materially contaminated. But he has his hands and accept whatever sacrifice is offered to him. That is the description between the conditioned soul and the super soul. So his hands are spiritual, all his limbs are spiritual. So you cannot differentiate from one organ to other organ, or one limb to other limb, or one sense to other sense. You cannot differentiate. Everything is absolute. But for us, yes, hand can do only a certain type of activities. Eyes can do only a certain type of activities because we are conditioned. We are within the 3 modes of material nature. So his senses are not materially contaminated. That is the distinction between the conditioned soul and the super soul. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? No, he is knowing whatever is happening in his creation. If he has no eyes, how can he see? He has eyes, not like ours. His eyes are transcendental. He sees everything, past, present, and future. He lives within the heart of the living being. We know that. Dwelling within the heart of every living entity in that region. And he knows what we have done in the past, what we are doing now, and what is awaiting us in the future. So what we'll be doing in the future, that also you know. So past we know, and present also, okay, fine, understand. Because already he has witnessed that, and what we are doing, that also you know. But in future, what are we going to do? That also he knows. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. He knows everything, but no one knows him. It is said that Supreme Lord has no legs like us, but he can travel throughout space because he has spiritual legs. In other words, the Lord is not impersonal. So this is what we have to understand. He is a person, we have to understand, but his limbs or his organs are not like ours. It is transcendental. He has his eyes, legs, hands, and everything else. And because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, we also have these things. But his hands, legs, eyes, and senses are not contaminated by material nature. Is it clear? We should not, think from this, from our perspective. Okay, we have legs, so he too have legs. So it's not like our leg, or he has eyes, we too have eyes. Okay, our eyes are materially, material and conditioned by the material nature within the three modes of material nature, but whereas his are not like that. So this is the difference that we have to understand. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that when the Lord appears, he appears as he is by his internal potency, Atma Maya. Okay. He is not contaminated by the material energy because he is the Lord of material energy. In the Vedic literatures, we find that his whole embodiment is spiritual, Satchidananda. He has the eternal form called Satchidananda Vigraha. What is the meaning of Satchidananda Vigraha? Prince Prabhu, can you explain what is Satchidananda? What is the meaning of Sat?
Chit means soul. Vigraha, I don't know. Sat means maybe reality, truth.
Sat means
Sat, eternal truth. Yeah.
Chit means full of knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. Ananda means
happiness.
Okay. Vigraha is form. We have a form, no?
Yes.
Lord also has a form. So that denotes to the form. So that's it is said Satchidananda Vigraha. Yes, his eternal form called Satchidananda Vigraha. Lord Brahma glorified him. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So Ishvara, who is Ishvara? He is Parameshwara, Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord Krishna. And how is he? What is he having? Satchidananda Vigraha is a form of Satchitananda, eternity, full of knowledge and full of bliss. That is his form. Our form is totally made up of matter. Okay. But the soul within, that is Satchidananda. Is it clear? He is full of all opulence. He is the proprietor of all wealth and the owner of all energy. He is the most intelligent and full of knowledge. These are some of the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, he is called Bhagavan. Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences. One who possesses the opulences. So, we know from the scriptures that Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Veerasya Esasasriya Jnana Vairagyo Saiva Shannam Bhaga Idingana. So these are the 6 opulences. Okay, what is that? Full knowledge, full wealth, full strength, and full beauty, full fame, and full renunciation. These are the 6 prime opulences he is having in 100%. We too have this. In the material world, we can see very, very handsome and beautiful living beings, male and female. You must have heard Mr. Universe, Miss Universe. They are supposed to be the most beautiful or most handsome, isn't it? But that fades away by the passing of time. The Miss Universe of this year will not be the Miss Universe next year because the beauty has already faded off. Okay, the richest person of this year may not be the richest person next second or next day. The share markets goes up and down, the position goes, isn't it? In the material world, the strongest person may not be the strongest person after a few days. It gets diminished. It goes away. Okay. Like that, the famous. No, so today somebody is famous. Tomorrow somebody else is famous. Okay. People will forget. You know that Mahatma Gandhi is very famous. How long he'll be famous? That fame also will go away. It's a matter of time. Film stars. We used to talk of Dilip Kumar, Dharmendra, and all this. Now their names are not taken. Nobody knows. The young generation doesn't know them, isn't it? Gone. Famous gone. So like that, all these opulences are temporary, flickering as far as we are concerned. But his fame is famous throughout the creation as God. Forget about Krishna. And let us take the generic term God, Ishvara. Okay, we may say Krishna, some may call Allah, some may call Jesus or Yehovah or Rama, whatever it is. So the person, the God, Supreme God, is famous. Everybody knows that God is there. Okay, his strength. He never diminishes. The whole material world, all the planets are floating in this, material sky on his strength. Knowledge, as we already read, he knows past, present, and future. Everything that is happening throughout this creation, isn't it? Knowledge is knowledgeable about everything that's happening in the entire creation, both spiritual and material. So that's the difference between a living entity and the Supreme Lord. So these are the 6 primary opulences. So that's why he said he is the most intelligent and is full of knowledge. These are some of the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the maintainer of all living entities and the witness of all activity. He is maintaining the whole creation and is witnessing whatever is happening also. Okay. How is he witnessing? As Paramatma, dwelling in the heart of each and every living entity, is witnessing all that we are doing. Okay. Upadrashtanum antacha. He is witnessing and is sanctioning also. Without his sanctioning, nothing will work. Even a blade of grass will not move without his sanction. As far as we can understand from Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord is always transcendental. Although we do not see his head, face, hands, or legs, he has them. And when we are elevated to the transcendental situation, we can see the Lord's form. Due to the materially contaminated senses, we cannot see his form. So when we also rise from this platform of conditioned state to the liberated state, we will be able to perceive and see his transcendental form with hands, legs, eyes, and everything. Till then, we will not be able to see him because we are not perfect. Our senses are imperfect. It is contaminated with the 3 modes of material nature. And to see the transcendent form of Supreme Lord, these senses are not enough. We need to purify our senses. We need to go beyond the material modes of nature, situate ourselves in transcendental plane. Then we will be able to see the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it's not possible. Therefore, the impersonalists who are still materially affected cannot understand the personality of God. So, who are the impersonalists? The person who thinks that the Lord doesn't have any form. They cannot understand. They will not be able to understand Supreme Personality of God because the very idea that they have is that the Lord doesn't have a form. Isn't it? So, how they can understand the Supreme Person? It is just a Brahman, is abstract light, something they cannot describe beyond description. So this is their philosophy. But Lord has a form which is transcendental, which is spiritual, which we cannot see with our material senses. This is what we have to understand. So very nice purport. So any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just wants to add, Prabhuji, this Satchit Ananda, actually the three qualities of God denotes also his level, like Paramatma, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan as well, Prabhuji.
Yes, right. Prabhuji. Sat refers to the Brahman realization. Sat and Chit and refers to Paramatma. Satchit Ananda refers or denotes to Bhagwan realization. As Prabhuji rightly said, so that these are corresponding to the three, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So Bhagwan means all the three.
All the three, yes.
Paramatma means only Satchit. Brahman means only the eternal aspect.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Sarani Mataji, anything to contribute?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in that Mahatha 24 elements, beyond the 20 elements, that 5 elements, 4 elements I need to listen, Prabhuji.
Yeah. That is what he said, the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And then time.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Before. Okay. And above that time is the individual soul. Above the individual soul is the super soul. Of course, they are not material. So it will not be, calculated as the material elements. So the 24 is material elements. Soul and super soul, they are Satchidananda. It's beyond.
Okay.
Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhir Evacha Ahankara Idiyamme Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. These are the 8 separated energies of the Supreme Lord. So the 5 gross elements: Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kham. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5. And 3. What is that?
Mind, intelligence, false.
Man, Ahankar, and Buddhi. These are the 8 separated energies of the Supreme Lord. Main. And from, of course, from the gross, that this thing, the corresponding, of the senses and the corresponding sense objects also come. As Prabhuji rightly said, Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, and the Vishaya, that is the sense objects, all these things. So total becomes 20 plus the 3 Buddhi, Man, Ahankar, and the time. And somewhere, in some places it is given in different way also, a little bit here and there, but basically these are the 24 elements.
Okay.
Above that is the soul, and above that is the supreme soul. Krishna says, Kalosmi, Aham Kalosmi, right? He says, I am time.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Time destroys everything.
Mm-hmm.
Time destroys everything. Is there anything that time doesn't destroy?
Only in material world, Prabhuji.
Mataji?
Only in material world time exists.
Yeah, only in material world time exists. So it destroys everything. Even the material manifestation itself gets dissolved or distracted by time, isn't it? Again, it comes manifestation, and manifestation takes place at frequent interval. So there is a manifestation and manifestation. Time destroys everything. But in spiritual world, that as you rightly said, the time element is not there. That's why you don't have the past and future. And you are fresh. There's no diminishing. There's no fading away, because time factor is not there. Always youthful, always fresh. The flower in the material world, if you pluck out the flower today, after a few hours it becomes faded, it loses its energy. It cannot stand on its own. It will fall down. The fragrance will go. But the flower in the spiritual world is always fragrant, fresh. Why? That time element is not there. It doesn't fade away. It's very difficult for us to conceive from that perspective, but that's it.
Yes.
Nobody gets old there. Nobody gets sick there. This is called, what you call, Divya, transcendental.
Yes.
So from that place, we have come here, living all, just like, as I always says, we were living in 5-star or 7-star or 10-star, whatever, hotel, very nicely with all the comforts and facilities and servants and this and that. Everything is at our command. Now suddenly, we are coming to Islam, staying there. Just imagine, public toilet, no comfort, no better. So like that, we have come to this place, leaving all our comforts and everything. We have come to this material world and suffering here and thinking that this is the best place.
Yes.
So this is a great mistake that we all have done. Now, at least that, even though we have made a big mistake, one thing is good, that at least we have started realizing that. We are not yet realized, but we have started realizing that. That's what Prabhupada says in a footnote very nicely. The best use of the bad bargain. Okay. What is a bad bargain? That bad bargain is that leaving that Satchidananda form, Swarupa, we have accepted the material form. It's a very, very bad bargain. Just like leaving that 5-star facility, we are coming and staying in the slum. Okay? That is a very, very bad bargain. Suppose you have a very good job, very lucrative job, very nice job, and you are leaving that job and working in a very small scale for a small salary, very menial job. How do you like it? Suppose a person is a CEO of company. Okay, from that post he is working as a peon in a small company. How it will be? So we have relinquished that Satchidananda Vigraha, okay, and come to this material world taking all the material elements. So that's a bad bargain that we have done. Okay, and we have to make use of the bad bargain. How we can make use of? So using this bad bargain, this body, we have to do devotional service and try to attain what we have lost. We have lost the Satchidananda body, the spiritual realm where we were enjoying. So we have to get back through this devotional process. So this we have started realizing now, that this place is not meant for us. We have a Satchidananda body, and we have a good Father, Supreme Father, where we can eternally enjoy with full of knowledge and full of bliss. So we have to regain that. So that is a process. So Prabhupada puts it very nicely. Make the best use of the bad bargain.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Any other comments? So we'll have this text 16 next week. So I'll stop sharing here. So please note down text 16. Okay. Stop the sharing here. Hare Krishna.